Welcome back to my shop. It's hot today and I got the aircon off right now so that I don't have the noise. Hard to breathe. What I'm going to do today is make a very small, simple open segment turning. One that anybody can do. One for beginners. Easy to do. It's no problem at all. Fact is, it's easier than doing a closed segment turning. The only hard part on it is the closed segment ring on the top. It's going to have a 6-inch bottom, be maybe 8 inches in diameter, a little bit high. Easy pattern. To do it, you need two things other than wood and glue, of course, in a lathe. You need an index wheel and a gluing platform. Now, an index wheel, you can buy a good index wheel. This is the old pattern one. I got a newer pattern one on the lathe. Or you can make one. I've made a lot of index wheels. Many, many index wheels. This is 64 index here. Real easy to make. If you want to make one, you go to blocklayer.com. I'll put it up here. You download a circle with the number of divisions you need, the diameter circle you need, and the number of divisions. You glue it on a piece of hardwood, and everywhere there's a mark, you cut a slot or drill a hole however you want to do it, so you can put a lock pin in it. Very, very easy. Now the gluing platform, originally I made one just to fit one lathe. Made it out of MDF. Of course you can make it from scrap wood. It's just a box with a piece of angled aluminum on the edge. Angled aluminum, of course, to hold the segments. And it goes from the center out, however far your lathe is. I have 20-inch lathe, so this goes out about 11 inches. And then a lock, a guide and a lock to fit the ways on your lathe. Like I said, I made this, it just fits one lathe. I also made one to fit any lathe. It uses a drill chuck to fit the tailstock. Now this is the commercial one that was built after my pattern. And you can buy it or you can make it. It's real easy. I've got the plans on how to make both of them in my videos. They're both very easy to make. You can use either one. The one that fits you, or you can buy them. Now, if you want to buy them, they're from Chef Wear Kits. I'll leave that up here. And no, I don't get any benefits from his sales at all. I give him the pattern to make it, and I give him the ideas, but that's it. My YouTube channel is not to make money. I don't sell anything. I don't make money from the YouTube videos. I don't run commercials. So no, my idea is not to make money. It's to try and share a little knowledge if I can. What little I know, I should like to share. So to make this, I'm going to use a pattern. I'll take a picture of it. It's only 4 segments across. Now, I'm not going to make a turning with just 4 segments. I'll repeat that pattern, and I'm going to use 20 segments per ring, so I'll repeat that pattern 5 times around it. Now, being as how it's 4 segments across, you can use 16 segments per ring, you can use 20 segments per ring, 24 segments per ring, 32 segments per ring. There's a lot of options. Now, in order to figure the cut angle, this one, I got a cheat sheet here. This is for 20 segments per ring. And it gives me the cut angle for open segments, cut angle for closed segments, and the cut length for all the different diameters for open and closed segment. Now, I have cheat sheets for all the different segments per ring, all in one package. If you email me and ask for one, I'll send it to you. It's free. I don't charge for anything. Like I said, I'm not out to make money. But do not leave a message with your email. Send it to my email address, which you'll find at the end of the video. Okay, and like I said, it's for any number. Now you can make this turning, like I said, 16 segments per ring, 20, 24, whatever you want. Now I'm going to make it with 20 segments per ring. Going to use a solid bottom on it, 6 inch. You can use solid bottoms up to about 6 inch. So I'm going to put a solid bottom on it. I'm going to use 1/2 inch high segments. Now open segments, you have to cut all the material the same, for the same height. I'm going to use this. This is Paduke, and it's 1/2 inch thick. That's for one of the pieces of pattern. Here's some more of it. I'm going to use this as the background. This is black limbo, which isn't, of course, black. And again, it's 1/2 inch thick. Now, when you make your stock, one side's got to be flat and smooth, whether you put it on a jointer, whether you put it through a planer, put it through a drum sander. And if both sides are perfectly flat, that's great. But one side's got to be at least, one side got to be perfectly flat. And they all need to be the same thickness to cut them. So I got my stock cut for them. And I'm going to take a picture of the pattern. And I got a drawing of what I'm going to do for 6 inches. Very simple. This is just half a drawing. I'm going to use my standard shape, my signature shape. Just draw on the bottom and then the segments. And you can measure how big the segments. The biggest segment I need is about 3/4 of an inch wide. So I cut these off the edge, and they're plenty wide, any one of them. And just draw them up so you'll know how far they are from the center out. I got a center line here. I'm going to use the same pattern later for an 8 inch turning for a second part of this, for the second video on this. So, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get a picture of this pattern. I'm going to get this layout, and I'm going to get a picture of the pattern, 4 segments across. They're going to be just little crosses, and there are going to be 2 rows. One row will be Paduke, and the second row I'm going to use Bakodi. So one row will be Paduke, and the next row will be Cody, and then Paduke, and then Bakodi all the way around. So I'm using 2 woods. Of course, you can use 1 wood. Say bloodwood and bloodwood and bloodwood and bloodwood. I mean, it's feasible. You can make it any diameter you want. And again, like I said, if you want a cheat sheet, my cheat sheets have all the different segments per ring, 16, 18, 20, 24, etc., all the way up to 96, the usable ones. And that's for my index ring. Now this is a index ring that I bought. This one here's the old pattern. It ain't got all the rings. One I got on a lathe has all the rings. And it's good quality heavy steel. It's very accurate. But again, nothing wrong with using homemade ones if you want to do that. And again, I have a video on how to make them real easy. Real easy. So, first thing I'm going to do now is pick out a wood for the base. It's going to be a solid wood base. I think I'm going to Always try and make a hardwood on the base and the top. That's for use in case it gets bumped or something. Better to have a hardwood. It's really noisy now. I got both air conditioners running and the fan. I got a piece of bubinga. Got a board of bubinga. It's 6 inches wide. 6 inches wide. So I'm going to cut 6 inches off the end to use as the base for this turning. I know it ain't real dark, but it's dark enough, it'll do. Yeah, bubinga's a beautiful wood. This board's got a bit of a warping. I got it cheap because of that. But not enough warp when I cut off 6-inch piece to affect it. The fact is, when I make segments out of it, you know, you don't even know there's a warp in it. So I'm going to go ahead, cut 6 inches off of that, off the end. Got a 6-inch square cut. What I'm going to do now, put it in the coal jaws and hold it. I'm going to cut, after I hold it in the coal jaws, I'm going to cut a mortise in it. I'm going to cut a ring around for the bandsaw to cut it round. Now, you don't like a mortise? Put a tenon in it. I don't care. I like a mortise because it's easier to finish when I'm done. And if you don't have coal jaws, okay, you don't have any coal jaws, take your, put a sacrificial board on your base plate, use double stick tape, use hot melt glue, or even put a piece of round sacrificial wood in your jaws, chuck jaws, and glue it on. Turn a mortise or a tenon, whichever one you want. Either one will work. Like I said, I like a mortise because it's easier to finish later. So I'm going to put it in the coal jaws. I'm going to mark it with a pencil where the mortise is cut. I'll just measure from the center out the size of my jaws. And I'm going to mark a ring around the edge to cut a groove. I have a new camera. It's actually a video camera. It ain't GoPro. Made a mount for it over my lathe. I can't put a camera behind my lathe. There's just no room. Can't put a camera here because I'll be completely in the way. You won't see nothing. So I'm going to try mounting this new camera over the lathe and see if I can get some pictures that way. See how that'll work. So mount it up, mark it, cut a mortise, cut a ring around it. I mounted the new camera over the lathe. See how good that'll work. I don't know. I'll have to find out when I go in the house and download the video. I got a mortise turned in it. I turned the ring around the edge and then I cut it with a bandsaw so it's mostly round. It's not perfectly round. Now I'm going to mount it in the chuck. After I mount it in the chuck, I'm going to round it. I'm going to dish out the center some and leave, an inch around the edge. I'm going to start doing the open segments. So, let's get that done. Oh, it's still noisy with the air conditioners running. I mounted the camera overhead to look down on the lathe. It didn't work. Can't see a thing. So, with the new camera, I can actually get it closer and still see. It's got a better wide-angle lens than this camera. So I devised a mount to look from the side. And we'll find out if that's going to work. I hope so. I turned the bottom round. I dished it a little bit and flattened the edge about 1 inch. Took the sanding board and made it perfectly flat. I tried to get pictures of doing it, but again, I lost them. So we're ready now to start putting segments on. Like I said, I'm going to use 20 segments per ring. I printed out the portion of the cheat sheet that's for 20 segments per ring. Like I said, my cheat sheet has all of them in it, all the different segments per ring that I can use. Now, I'm using 20 segments per ring. That means I need an index of 40 segments. Evenly spaced 40 segments. 20 for the first ring and 20 offset for the second ring. Now, I got a nice homemade one here that I could use. Got 40 segments. Half of them marked red and half of them marked purple. Every other one, of course. Now, I could use this. I've done it before. It works perfectly fine. But I'm going to use the commercial one. Now, this is the big commercial one. It's the one with the 192 index ring. 192 index ring gives you a lot of options. It's the one you use for 16 and 32. But I'm using the 120 ring, and I'm using every third index. So I got 1 red, 2 empty, 1 marked blue, 2 empty, 1 marked red, 2 empty, 1 marked blue, 2 empty, 1 marked red. I'm using magic markers, which you can take off and just wipe right off when you want to change them. So I've got 20 marked red and 20 marked blue, and I'm going to use this index wheel to do it. Now, I could use a homemade gluing platform, but again, I'm going to use a commercial one. I've got a Harbor Freight drill chuck on it, which works just fine. And I've got a post for it, so it goes in a tailstock, sits on the post in the banjo. The post I got for it, let me get the post here a second. Of course, my banjo takes 1 1/4 inch post. This is 1 1/4 inch. I got a stop color so I can set it down. It stops the same place every time. So I'm going to use this post. Now, to make a post, all you have to do is go to Tractor Supply, buy a bolt the right side and cut the head off. You got a post. Of course, stop ring's quite handy for it. Just drop that right in. So this is what I'm going to be using today. So I got the index ring set up marked. So I'm looking at my drawing, and the first row of segments I'm going to put on, I'm going to make them 6.5 inches. So looking at my cheat sheet, 6.5 inches, 20 open segments per ring will be cut at 6.3 degrees, and they'll be cut to 0.720. So I'll set this for 0.720. There we go. And of course I've got my super accurate sled. Now I can set the fence to within 1/4 degree very easy. So 6.3 degrees is no problem at all. So I'll go ahead and set that up, and I'll set my stop block. I'll cut a test segment with scrap material to make sure the cut length is right. If not, I'll adjust it until I get it the right length. And then I'm going to cut 20 segments. So the 20 segments I'm going to cut, for the first ring. Oh yeah, 20 segments I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut 2 of the black limbo, which ain't black, of course. And I'm going to cut 1 Hadoop. I'm going to cut 1 Cody per pattern. I've got 20 segments cut, lined up according to the pattern, repeated 5 times. I'll just glue them on in sequence. I've got a solid base, so it makes no difference where I start. I took off all the feathers. Now I've got these with a flat surface on both sides. So with a flat surface on a sanded flat surface, it takes very, very little glue. Now if I use tight bound 2, or tight bound 3, it would take 10 seconds to clump time to keep them on. But I'm going to be using tight bound quick and thick, which has about the same properties as tight bound 2, except it's faster and it dries clear. Use tight bound quick and thick, it'll take 5 seconds for each one to be glued on. I'm using the red indexes on the index ring and put very, very, very light glue on them. When the surfaces meet perfectly, it takes very, very little glue. And there's virtually no squeeze out. I never worry about squeeze out, never try to clean it up or nothing. Nobody's ever seen it. So I'm going to go ahead and start gluing them on. I'll get a shot from here. I'm gluing a couple of them on. Like I said, it takes 5 seconds per segment. That's it. Okay, I've got the index set on the first red one, or any red one. Got the stop block set at 3 1/4 inches for 6 1/2 diameter. See, 3 1/4 from the center now. This only goes from the center out. So I'm ready to glue the first one on. First one, of course, will be black limba. Very, very, very light glue. Very light glue. Hold it on for 5 seconds. Then go to the next red index. Skip the blue index and go to the next red index. Ready to put on the Padook piece. Again, very light glue, very, very light glue. On the Padook piece. I'll go ahead and put all the rest of the 20 pieces on the same way. The first 20 segments are on, perfectly evenly spaced. Now, they've got to be sanded flat. Each ring has to be sanded flat with a sanding board. But, gotta let the glue dry. So how long do I let the glue dry? 15 minutes. That's what I said, 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, I can sand it, I can turn it, I can do what I want. Of course, you can never turn the top open segment ring. The segments won't come off, but they have a tendency to split and crack. So I do have to sand that ring after 15 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to measure the distance for the second ring. I'm going to cut 20 segments in the second ring now. It's going to be 10 Padook and 10 the black limba. So it's what I'm going to do. I'm going to measure it, cut it, and set it up to glue on the second ring. And by that time, it'll be 15 minutes. I'll be able to sand it flat. I failed to get the recording of this sanding the segments the first time, so I'm going to try it again. This is actually the second row. I tried it on the first row and didn't get it. Right now I'm going to chalk them off. That way I can tell when they're sanded. If there's one that don't get sanded, I can see it right away. There always seems to be one. It's just a little bit thinner than the rest for some reason. I don't know why. Get them all chalked. Just regular old kids chalk for writing on the sidewalk from a dollar store. I just happen to have a blue one that shows up good on all these segments. Now I'm taking my sanding board and I'm going to sand them just lightly. They're all the same size, so it shouldn't take too much. Normally I'd have the vacuum bar, the dust collector, but that really makes a lot of noise. That should be enough. All the blue chalk is gone, so they're perfectly flat and ready for the next row to be glued on. Okay, we're ready to put on the second row. Using the blue index, making sure I'm starting at the right place for the pattern so that the pattern's right. Check it and double check it. So then I'm ready to glue on the segment. First one, of course, padding segment. Light coat of glue. Spread it all over, although only the edges will be glued. Makes no difference. Nobody will ever see it. Hold it on for 5 seconds. That's all it takes. Glue the next blue index now. Glue the next one now, which is again tattooed. Light coat. Seconds. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glue the rest of the 20 segments on. I got the second open segment ring on. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn the dish to bottom just a little bit more and turn it into the first open segment ring. So you ask, why in the world would I do that? You're supposed to turn the outside first and then turn the inside. That way you get the shape and then you can turn the inside to the shape. Well, for one thing, I already know what the shape's going to be. That's easy. Second thing is, I can get to it real easy right now. If I wait until it's finished, I got to go way down inside to do that. So I turn the inside as I come out. Of course, you don't have to. You can turn the inside, turn the outside, wait till it's finished. Whatever your preference is, it's okay. That's one thing about woodworking. Now, do it your way. What I'm going to use for this is a round carbide tool on a round shaft. I got carbide tools on a square shaft. Never use them. They're too aggressive. Come in straight. On a round shaft, you can twist them up, get a shortcut, get a lot less aggressive. So I'm going to use this to turn the bottom a little bit more on the inside and just turn it into the first ring. Careful not to hit the top ring. Like I said, glue won't come loose, but they have a tendency to split until there's something glued on the top of them. the third ring. Looking at the pattern, see which ones to cut. So I need 5 Padu, 5 Bakoti, and 10 of the other. Looking at the outline, to see how wide they got, how wide the ring's got to be. After I have to do that, look at the cheat sheet to see how the cut length. So I cut them, got them all cut. Now, of course, you can make it any shape you want. Now, I'm making it my signature shape, but you can make it any shape you want. Just draw it out like you want, put the segments in, very easy. And you can make it any size you want. You can make it smaller, you can make it bigger. That's strictly up to you. And with a cheat sheet, just look, and it's in 1/4 inch increments of diameter, like 4 inch, 4 1/4, 4 1/2, 4 3/4, 5, 5 1/4, 5 1/2, 5, etc., all the way up to 20 inch. So these are ready to go. And this time, I'm going to use a new camera and try and get a different angle on gluing a couple up. And this will be the last time I'll show them gluing up, because it's all just going to be repetitive, different size, different, it's changed as the pattern goes, but it's all just going to be repetitive after this. So yeah, I'll glue a couple up from a different angle, see how that works. Yeah, I'm ready to glue on the third row. Got the stop block set at the right distance. Got to be sure and start them at the right spot. Keep the pattern right. Using the red indexes again. So, same as before. Very light coat of glue. Hold it for 5 seconds. Let's go to the next red index. Take the next segment. Again, a little bit of glue. Not much. Don't take a lot when they fit together perfect. Put it on for 5 seconds. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glue the rest of the segments on. When I drew this out, I drew it for 10 open segment rings. But I got to looking at the pattern, and I'm going to add an extra ring just to complete the pattern the way I want it. So I'm going to put 1 extra ring right in the center. Nice thing about patterns like that, you can make them as many rings as you want. You can add them or subtract rings, whatever you want. The pattern just keeps repeating, so you can go on adding rings if you want, make it however big you want to do it. But I'm going to make it 11 rings. So right now, I'm just about at the halfway point. I got 6 rings on. I'm going to add 5 more. The open segments are on now. Now is the hard part, and that's making the closed ring for the top. You say, well, why is it the harder than open segments? Because the segments have to be cut precisely to fit and not leave a gap, not leave a bad glue joint in a ring. Open segments, if the angle's a bit off, you'll never know it. Closed segments, if the angle's a bit off, you'll find out right away. But with my super accurate sled, I cut 20 segments, 9 degrees, and I cut them back to the cheat sheet. I want to 6 of them, 1/4. So I cut them at a length of 9.89. 9.9 is close enough. At an angle of 9 degrees. I lightly sanded all the edges. Got all the feathers off, of course. Dry clamp them. And there is no light through any of them. Nowhere. So, ready to glue the ring up. Get the ring glued up. Have to wait 15 minutes and then I'll be able to glue it on. Then I'll have to wait at least 15 minutes before I can finish turning the inside and turn the outside. I don't know, I'll probably have to do that tomorrow because my wife got things she wants us to do. So I'll be lucky if I have time enough to glue this up and let it dry and flatten one side. But that's what I'm going to do. It's been 15 minutes since I glued it up. So I flattened it on one side. Actually, this time I flattened it on 2 sides. We only really need to flatten it on one side. Put it in the coal jaws. I'm going to put the live adapter on the back of the coal jaws. It's a live adapter. Fits a tailstock. Nice and live. Now, I'm going to put glue on it, put it in the tailstock and bring it up. It'll automatically be perfectly aligned. All I got to do is make sure the joints on this ring fall in the middle of the segment there. So that's what I'm going to do now. Put a light layer of glue on this. Well, if I can get any glue to come out. Use my high quality glue spreader. I got way too much glue. That's okay. Way too much. Scrape some of it off, yeah. Ah! Put it in the tailstock. Bring it up, get it close. Make sure it's lined up right. Bring her down. Clamp it. Let it dry. The solid ring is on the top, so everything glued up now. So what I'm going to do is finish turning the inside and sanding it. Then I'll turn the outside. Of course, you do not have to turn the inside first. You can turn the outside first if you want, however you want to do it. The only reason I turn the inside first is because it's much easier to get down in there and turn it as I come out than it is to wait and then go way down in and try and turn it. So that's what I'm going to do is finish turning the inside, turn the outside. I'm going to sand it. Can't sand this very much because of the different woods. The black limba is pretty soft compared to the other woods. The Bacote is much harder. So if I sand it too much, I'll sand away the softer woods and leave the harder woods proud, make a washboard effect. So I have to turn it pretty good and then just sand it a little bit, probably just with 220. 320, 400. The finer grits, of course, ain't gonna wear it away fast like the coarser grits will. So I'm gonna go ahead. Enough of that one. $3.20. $400. Let me make a little pass with 800. It's some 800, I think. 600 or 800. Okay, now I think I'll spray finish it. Otherwise the Paduke might run. I turned it, and I think I got some shots of turning it. I sounded it 220, 320, 400. I even hit it with some 800. What I'm going to do now is spray it. I'm going to rotate it slowly, maybe 100 RPM, 50 to 100, and spray it. That way the Paduke won't run. So I'm going to spray it inside and spray it outside. I'm not going to turn the camera on because I don't want to take a chance of getting any spray on the lens. So I'm just going to go ahead now and spray it. It's been sprayed. All I got to do now is turn the bottom. Because I used a mortise, all I got to do is smooth it out here and leave a little ring around the edge for it to sit on. And the bottom will be finished. To turn the bottom, I'm going to use cold jaws with the tapered pins. I'm going to hold it from the inside because of the way it goes in. So I'm going to put the cold jaw, put it on the cold jaw. I'm going to bring the center point up and hold it with the tailstock. And I'm just going to turn it a little bit and finish it up. Turning the bottom is really easy. The bottom's been turned. Signed, dated, numbered. It's finished. Easy little project, very easy. And open segments are easy. They're easier than closed segments. I know you don't believe me, but it's true. Easy project gets started. You can use homemade index wheel. You can use a commercial index wheel. So I'm going to leave my email up here if you want a copy of my cheat sheets. And I was going to do a follow-up on this with a bigger piece, but they got a show coming up, a Jurd Art Show, National Jurd Art Show. I want to enter. I want a big piece to enter. And if I'm going to get a piece, I'm going to have to start now on it. So tomorrow I'm going to start on a big piece for the art show. I'm going to make another crisscross piece, pretty big. So come back and see my next video, and thank you.